How's it going, guys, and welcome back to the channel for another Star Wars gaming video, and we have some stuff to talk about today. Now, we all know Battlefront 2 has had a very recent explosion in players. Well, the exact numbers of just how many players Battlefront 2 has gotten over the past week and a bit has actually been revealed by EA themselves, and yeah, it's a talking point to put it lightly. Battlefront 2 has more players right now than it's ever had, and it's not even close, it's by a mile. So what does this mean for future prospects for the Battlefront franchise? Whether that be a Battlefront 3 that's been rumored already, or bringing live service back to Battlefront 2, because things have really changed lately. This could very well change how we see Star Wars games distributed going forward. I'm talking about free-to-play Star Wars games that have games as a service modules. I think that's a likely reality given this news, so we're going to get to that in this video as well. Now, if you guys want to be kept up to date on all things Star Wars games, then be sure to subscribe to the channel and let me know if you're enjoying Battlefront 2 down in those comments. But now, let's just get into this. There is a lot that I want to talk about. So, EA Star Wars Twitter made a post about Battlefront 2, which is pretty rare in itself, to be honest. They've kind of forgotten Battlefront 2 existed for a long time, despite the game doing well. Battlefront 2 has kind of been like the success that they've been trying to ignore, but they simply just could not ignore it any longer. So, EA Star Wars posted this tweet saying, more than 19 million players got Star Wars Battlefront 2 from the Epic Games Store promo. Thank you so much for the continued support even after our final content drop. We'll watch your careers with great interest. May the force be with you, troopers. 19 million new players in just over a week. For reference, Battlefront 2 sold around 9 million copies at launch across all three platforms, and that was deemed a very decent number of sales, especially despite the controversy. Now that's 19 million players just from the Epic Games Store. It doesn't even take into account players on Steam and Origin, so it's easily well over 20 million on PC across Epic Games, Origin, and Steam. Over 20 million players, that's not even taking into account the player base on PlayStation and Xbox, which is well into the millions as well for each of the consoles respectively. Battlefront 2 has been on the Xbox Game Pass for a while now, and the lobbies are stacked. Same goes for PlayStation, which has always had the biggest player base. Not to mention that Battlefront 2 went free on PS Plus mid-2020. Plus, you need to take into account the sales the Celebration Edition of the game would have made when that was released in December of 2019. Remember, that blew EA's sales expectations out of the water as well. So taking all of this into account, people are estimating that Battlefront 2 has sold easily over 50 million copies. 50 million, and easily over half, probably a whole lot more to be honest, has come since EA cancelled live service for Battlefront 2 and moved the developers at DICE to work on Battlefield 6. These numbers are absolutely ridiculous, and EA have ignored the success and the constant player base influxes Battlefront 2 has had since live service was cancelled. Many people wondered why Battlefront 2 was cancelled. It seemed like a bad decision all round. We've spoken about it a million times on the channel before. But yes, the game wasn't really making money. The Celebration Edition did inject a cash flow into the game. Plus, they could easily have set up a cosmetic-only microtransaction system and made boatloads of cash whilst not forcing people to spend money. But they didn't do that. Instead, they cancelled a very popular game which had so much potential and developers that were really excited to keep working on the game. Now, players would have willingly spent money on this game to keep it going, and I think EA have finally come to the realization that it was a bad decision to bring Battlefront 2's live service to a close. I think this was the wake-up call they've needed for almost a year. Now, I was honestly very surprised that this promo event with Epic Games brought 19 million new players to the game on just PC. Imagine for a second, although we don't have the exact numbers like we do for PC, imagine how many new players came to the game when the game was free on Xbox and PlayStation. It was probably more than what we've seen for PC in the past week, because consoles are far more accessible than PCs and make up the majority of the player base. EA will be seeing this, and I guarantee you they are seeing the demand for a large-scale, casual, multiplayer Star Wars shooter, a Battlefront game, and thinking, oh crap, we might have actually screwed up. And I think, and it seems many other people think, that this is the final straw in the laundry list of evidence that have been presented to EA since live service was cancelled to A, either bring this game's live service back in some way, shape or form, or B, announce a Battlefront 3 and probably do it sooner rather than later. It's so frustrating to see once again millions upon millions of players flooding to this game that hasn't received any content since April of 2020, but knowing that as of right now, all this popularity is being injected into a game that has no future. It's really frustrating. But something is more than likely going to come of this. EA have been gifted a golden opportunity to take full advantage of this, and I think they're going to take it this time. It's just a matter of what are they going to do. This video is like my message to EA sort of thing. EA, it is time. It is time to bring live service back for the probably 30+ million active players right now, or announce that sequel. You are sitting on a gold mine and you're wasting it. You're kissing away tens of millions of willingly paying customers. A goldmine doesn't even begin to describe the Battlefront franchise, and barely a penny is being made. And I'm sure that investors are probably just as upset as the players are right now. Now moving on, I spoke about earlier what I think this could mean in terms of changes to the distribution of Star Wars games in the future. We know that free-to-play games are the talk of the town, think like Fortnite. Think Apex Legends, for example. It's an EA game. It's stupidly popular, it's free to play, it makes boatloads of cash through its games as a service module, it doesn't force people to pay money, it's purely up to the player, and the game is free to start with. That's the most important thing. I firmly believe, especially now given the 19 million new players coming to Battlefront 2 in a little over 1 week on one platform, I think the next multiplayer Star Wars game is going to adopt this free games as a service module. And you know what? I think I'd be totally down for that. A lot of people get mad at games as a service, but the thing is, the game is free. If you're paying for the game, then have to pay again for a battle pass, yeah, like that's a bit far. But if the game is free, then it's not even a problem. And I think the next multiplayer Star Wars game should adopt that method. Launch the game for free, have a battle pass system in place. I think they're just going to be absolutely golden if they do that. Think about it, we've seen firsthand what just 1 week of having a free Star Wars game can do on one platform. It dwarfed Battlefront 2's launch numbers in just 1 week. And the game hasn't even received content for like 8 months. Imagine a new Star Wars game getting a launch for free with a battle pass system. Imagine how many players that would bring. It would dwarf the 19 million in the past week for Battlefront 2 because it would be a new game and it would be across 3 different platforms. I think that really says all you need to know. But I think if they don't want to go the sequel route and want to keep going with Battlefront 2, I'm totally fine with it. Ideally, they should bring Battlefront 2's live service back and support it and lead it up to the next game whenever that may be. That way they could take their time, they could craft the perfect sequel, and they could keep everyone entertained and occupied in the process. But if they don't want to go the sequel route, then a re-release of Battlefront 2 could be a great idea. Name it like Battlefront 2 Legacy Edition or something. Re-release the game for free, include a battle pass system, and go from there once DICE are done with Battlefield 6. We've seen recently Sea of Thieves actually do something very similar to this. Sea of Thieves has been a popular multiplayer game for a long time. It came out shortly after Battlefront 2, and it only just introduced a battle pass. And like I said, Sea of Thieves came out shortly after Battlefront 2. Incorporating a battle pass this long after release is very doable, as games are literally already doing it. And I think it could be Battlefront 2's turn. Like I said, EA are seeing these new players come out in force. They're seeing how popular this game is and the franchise is, and I have no doubt in my mind they have plans in future for this franchise. Whether that be in the short term or the long term, I don't think it's a matter of if we will see more for the Battlefront franchise, I think it's a matter of when, because this hype and player increase is literally too big to be ignored again. But I want to turn it over to you guys now. What do you all think of this absolute insanity that's been going on for Battlefront 2? Make sure you let me know down in those comments. I'm really interested to see what you guys have to say about all of this. But yeah, comment below, let me know. And if you did enjoy this video, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, and click that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. But that's going to do it for me today. Thanks for watching and have a good one.